Okay, well, let's continue with really interesting presentation from Veli-Pekka Piirainen and Sako Salovaara. So, as you can see, the title is really interesting, and let's give them a big hand for being here.
Hello everybody. We were thinking that everybody has gone somewhere and didn't come at all, but almost full. Nice to see you. So my name is Veli-Pekka Piirainen.
And I'm Sako Salovaara from Rusto Games.
And we are telling you about stories, what we have done so far. So we both have game companies, so what we have done and what we think are the biggest mistakes we have done. Of course, we have done also something right, but also wrong, so we want to tell about our stories.
Yeah, definitely more mistakes.
So you can introduce yourself, Sako.
Yeah, so I'm Sako Salovaara and I'm representing Rusto Games, a small three-man indie company from Kajaani, which is next to Oulu, right in the center of Finland, if you don't happen to know it. I have worked in the game industry since 2009, when I started studying at Kajaani University of Applied Sciences. I founded Kajak Games, a student cooperative osuuskunta for the students for an easy way to publish their games. Then I went and interned at Vuga, a small German company, for half a year. And after that, I returned to Finland and started with Rusto.
And as I told, my name is Veli-Pekka Piirainen, CEO and founder of Critical Force Entertainment, also known as Studio Mars.
Yeah.
So my background is programmer. I have been programming 18 years before moving to Kajaani University of Applied Sciences, teaching their programming, and I founded the game development curriculum there, and also co-founder of the Kajak Games cooperation. And I've been leading the game development full-timely until I found my first game company, and now I'm working part-timely at my company, part-timely at the university. And I'm also co-founder of another game company, which was founded about 1.5 years ago. It hasn't been also success story yet. They're still making the game, 1.5 years. And I also was founding affiliate of Supercell in Kajaani. Supercell had a studio in Kajaani about 1 year from 2011 June, end of May 2012. And that was studio where Kajak students were mainly working. They made one game for Supercell. It was soft published in Australia and in New Zealand, but it never get good enough monetization for the game, so it was cancelled, and after that the studio was also closed because Supercell didn't have any success game yet. So that's another story, but that was practically foundation for my own studio. So my company is located in Kajaani, as we are both living there, and we are making games using Unity, cross-platform games, and we are targeting, of course, globally, international game business is international, but we have also special focus in Asia. So we have already published in Korea, and we are making now contract with the Chinese publisher. I tell about that a little bit later. And company is self-funded, so I have put my own money for the company, already 150,000 euros. So I have also other business since 98. So building construction business, real estate business, and so on. So I have put my own money there, and this is my first game company. And the team now is, so I'm leading the company and trying to make business, trying to make money. Teppo is a programmer and also try to lead the development team with Igor, who is a lead programmer and practically father of the game we have made so far. Thanapodi is an artist from Thailand, and we have also one guy in California, Richard, He was an eager player of our game, and he was very helpful and helping community. So we hired him as a community manager, and also making support for the players. And then we have part-time workers, Nico, making 3D artists, and also we have at the moment 7 trainees from Kajaani University of Applied Science, mostly game development students, but also business and marketing students. And many freelancers and volunteers around the world. So mostly maps are made by community for the game, and we have in Ukraine, in Russia, 2 guys organizing the map development, and practically staff of the support and map making is crowdsourced. So people are making for free, and they're happy for that, and we are also happy for that too. I have sent some T-shirts to some guys, and they're very happy about that. So our first product, Critical Mission SWAT, also formerly known Critical Strike Portable. So it's a game, first-person shooter game, like Counter-Strike, concentrating on mobile, so iOS, Android, and also web. And we have bought it also on Mac PC and Oya too. So practically this is probably the first cross-platform first-person shooter online multiplayer game. So supporting so many platforms, so I haven't seen any other game so far. So people can play against each other using whatever device. So web players can play against PC players, against Mac players, against mobile players, and vice versa. And of course, mobile players, the controls are not so easy to play as on PC. So they can also choose that mobile players can play only against mobile players. So we have about 200,000 daily players, so let's say daily active users at the moment. So the biggest peak was last March, over 300,000. But now we have, as you see the graph, so it's about 200,000 players every day. So we have quite many players, half mobile players, half web players, and PC players. And so the story is that the first game, Critical Strike Portable, we put it free on Google Play, and we get 1 million downloads in 1 month. And it happened last July, 1 year ago, 2012, it's about 1 year ago. And now we have over 12 million downloads, but it's a free version. And so practically the free version on Android was direct port of the web version, so very small buttons, so optimized for playing with mouse and keyboard. So not so easy to use, but players still like it, and they downloaded it and like the game. But we were thinking we need better game for mobile, so we remade the game using NGUI, so practically the user interface, and make bigger buttons and more user-friendly. But we need money, so we put the game as a premium game on Apple App Store first. It was end of last November, with price $299, and an Android Google Play last December, and then also light version on App Store, so version without multiplayer, so only single player. And so we were thinking that we have so many free downloads that we will easily get 100,000 downloads in 1 month or something like that. But it seemed that it's very hard to sell nowadays premium games on App Store. So you need to have some kind of big brand name or so big marketing budget that you can get users see, that the users will see. You can have to advertise and so on. So we didn't practically put any money on marketing because we didn't have money for that. So Selling premium was steady, but not so profitable. So we earn about, so far, let's say $100 to $200 per day selling premium. So far, we have 32,000 paid downloads, about $50,000 in games from premium game selling, and about $14,000 from ads. So that learned for me practically very much about the game business. And now we are focusing, making the game as free-to-play game. So we are building in-app store in the game, so selling their guns and gun upgrades. So it's not ready yet, so should be, let's say, end of next month or something. But anyway, the success story of Supercell has encouraged us also try to make the free-to-play version of the game. And we are pretty optimistic that we will get a little bit more incomes with the free-to-play. Of course, it's not easy to make good balancing, that it will not be pay-to-win game. And we try to avoid that every player can also earn everything by playing. When they play enough, they can get in-game currency and unlock the guns, new guns, and upgrade the guns with the in-game currency they have earned. And if they want to upgrade guns faster or unlock guns faster, then they can pay. So let's see how it works. So another thing was that so we were thinking that when we make a new version, so we reskin the Critical Mission Strat game. So we make space style game, so a little bit sci-fi style, laser guns, aliens, and space style maps. That we just put the effort, month or two, and then release and get more incomes. So we started to make the space version in February, or was it the end of January? And we released it end of end of May. So we used about 4 months to making the reskin. So new models, new guns, and new maps. And it took more time as we were thinking. And because we have so many platforms, we have iOS, Android, OEM, Mac, PC, web, and then we have same game again and same versions. So it was very hard to manage the game. So it happened many times when you make a build, then they were mixed together that, now in the game were wrong type of gun, and now in the game was something from another game that it should not be there. So that has been very hard to us, manage so many different versions, so many different games. But surprise was that many players like the game. So we have get very good reviews of the game in App Store and Google Play. But of course, selling has been very, very big. So as I told, we have also publisher in Korea, but we don't have the free-to-play version yet. So and the premium version selling is even more tougher in Asia. So Korean people don't pay for the games; they play free and they pay for just for in-app purchases. But we have updated the game, put new guns, new models, new maps. So players want more guns, more guns, more guns. And of course have been complaining a lot that when come new guns. That's a very common question every week in Congregate. So our web version is in Congregate and in Facebook. As I told, we are developing the in-game shop with in-app purchases and also making the server side better database and more secure database system. Then we have make also gamepad integration for Samsung. So the Korean publisher wanted that we support Samsung gamepad. So it has been done, but haven't got any results yet from the Korea. So it's very time consuming from that side to get information. And then we made also BlackBerry port, because we are using Unity. Porting is not hard, it's quite easy. But the problem is that BlackBerry Photon network server doesn't support BlackBerry, so we have to release it as a single-player version. But anyway, what next? We start to monetize little by little, so we have put ads and have to also use cross-promotion in the future. And we are making agreement with the Chinese publisher, and also looking for investor for marketing money for growing. And there's also a new game coming we are making now. But as I said, time is going fast, so I have to make things faster. So what mistakes we made? So we had some failures in outsourcing. Try to get cheap assets with cheap price and didn't work. Lost lots of time because I have to make again. And also focus, lack of focus. Maybe we should have make only the SWAT version and forget the space version, because we lost quite a lot of time with the space version. Also the management problem we had. I haven't had enough time to manage everything, because I'm partly working at the university and partly having other companies to take care of. And of course, if you cannot manage, it will be a little bit problematic. And one thing is that maybe we should have try publisher first with the paid version. We were just thinking that success of the free game will also mean success of the paid version, but it wasn't like that. And one thing was also the server provider. We had servers in USA, yes. So map server and user account server. And because the map server took so much traffic, so they said that our map, when people were downloading the maps from the map server, they said that we took 30% of the traffic. So they just cut the lines, and we were wondering what happened. They didn't say anything to us. Then we changed the server provider. Tips: try fast, fail fast, don't fall in love with your game. Prototype, test, user test, and also proper QA. And don't be afraid of publishers, investors, and lawyers. They can be your best friends. And if you start, be sure that you have enough money for living. And if you hire somebody, you have to have money for paying salaries. And don't forget the marketing. That's the most important thing. If you have good game and nobody finds it, it's worthless. So that's one crucial thing, marketing, how your game will be found. And of course, believe yourself, what you are making, and think about the fame and money you will make in the future. So it's not easy to run games company. You need much money, you need good nerves, you have stress, because if money is not enough, you have to think, how can I pay the salaries? You don't have no free time, no sleep, 24 hours and 7 days per week. You have just a company in your mind and lots of paperwork. So if you found a company, find a guy who can make the paperwork, who is interested in business, who is interested in taking care of contracts and that kind of stuff, because it's so time consuming. You don't have time to develop the game if you have to do that work also. And get visibility for your game. And Sako continues.
Yeah, thanks.
And QA is in the end of this session.
So, as said before, I'm Sako Salovara, CEO of Rusto Games, OU. So, why did we start Rusto Games? Me and Ville is in the audience. We're both working at the industry for a little while, actually interning. But we both got job offers from bigger companies. And we thought that, hey, maybe we should just get a job and get some money under our belt and start a company then. But then we realized that, first of all, we wanted to graduate. So we returned to Kajaani. And then we also realized that we don't really like working for others. So naturally, we realized that, hey, why don't we start our own company, study on the side, and get some money from Kela, student pension funds, not good 500 euros per month, good for everything, and just work on our free time. Also, there was a gaming cluster starting in Kajaani called Kavio Cluster these days, but it didn't actually boot up in time to actually help us that much. So yeah, that's a duplicate. So first of all, Ville and me had one serious flaw. Ville knew how to program. I knew the marketing, business, design, and all that boring stuff. But we didn't actually have anybody to do as an art. So we needed one. Also, handily, there was this Get Online Game Jam in Kajaani. And we asked one of our friends who we thought that he might be a potential founder to the company. And we tried out, and we actually won the competition with a funny little game where you escape a giant, horrific black tentacle monster from jumping from moon to moon on a moon buggy. It's actually a fun game. You can find it from Windows Phone Store, I think. And as all legendary companies, we started with a huge project, a casually epic dungeon crawler. I'm not going to go in depth, but it's awesome, and we were planning to have these snack-sized adventures in your pocket where you could play them at any time, and all the small episodes would overarch into a larger story. And we actually did quite a bit of design and art and all the stuff to it, but it didn't go that well, and I'm going to tell you what we fudged up. So first of all, the project was starting to take way too much time from me, so I needed to choose if I wanted to stay in school or keep with the project. And being the dumbass that I am, I stayed with the project. And I started to work at it full time in, I think, February 2012. But after leaving school, I couldn't get Kela students' pensions anymore, so we needed a money source. So we started talking around to get angels, mostly in the Kajaani-Oulu region, and we got some offers, but they were very expensive, so we would have practically lost all control of our own company. So we didn't want that. That's like working for someone else. So we said no. Then we did a second big mistake. We started to subcontract, which of course meant that I didn't have time to work with Riot anymore than I had when we worked or when I was studying. But we actually got our first game published at that point, Fat Cat Bandit, available on iOS App Store. No, we don't get any money if you buy it, so it's a fun game. You should try it. We also did some teaching gigs in Kajaani and Kouvola, and we actually got food and beer with those monies. So subcontracting, it's pretty easy money, but it takes a lot of time. And then in the beginning of summer 2012, we needed more resources because Riot was growing bigger and bigger, as games tend to do. So we just found that a couple of our old friends needed an internship place or a thesis written. So we hired those dudes. And they worked pretty well. But once the guys actually finished the backlog we had designed for them, we started to do very bad design decisions, rushed them, and we actually got a lot of problems because I actually didn't have the time to design the features well enough. We rushed things, and that didn't turn out too well. And then the ultimate failure of Riot was the sum of many little things. Mainly, we actually noticed that the core we had, the core gameplay, was a bit broken. It wouldn't allow for character progression, which is a pretty essential part of any RPG. And we had some minor technological issues, which would have needed a lot of recoding, which we didn't actually have the money for. And then we also lost the artist who we had hired, or actually taken as a founder in the starting of the company. So that caused some problems because we couldn't actually make the necessary assets for the project anymore. And then we made the decision to actually freeze the project and work on something smaller, because the estimates we had for rights completion with the current team were around 1 to 2 years, which is a very long time for when we didn't have any sources of income. So we did our next mistake called Rival Rumble. It's a multiplayer fighting game for iOS where 2 players can play on the same device. But the problem we had with it was that we used famous politicians as a quirk, so we would get it noticed. But we posted it to Apple, and we waited a month. We didn't hear from them, and I called them, and I asked them, why aren't you publishing this or denying it or anything? They said, we'll look into it. We waited another month, and then they replied us that we can't publish this game because there's likeness of real people in it. Which is funny because Joe Entertainment released a game where Barack Obama and Mitt Romney was duking it out in an Infinite Blade kind of game. Or maybe it was Hitler. I bet it was Hitler. It was Hitler's fault. We didn't get published. Don't put Hitler in your iOS game. So next up, we thought that, hey, these casual games, they're pretty cool and they're pretty easy to make. We actually had 2 of the interns we had previously to stay as full-timers. We gave them a little stock. And then we started to work on casual karting game for mobile. I think these days there's quite a few casual Finnish karting games in the market, but back then there wasn't. We did some concept art, but eventually we ended up with a beaver. So during the development of the game, a couple of similar games were released, small games like Hill Climb Racing and Noble Notlings. And our gameplay was kinda too close to it. So we had to reboot the project a little bit. We made it the focus to be tricks and combos, so the player would need to do backflips and wheelies and stuff like that to actually score. And then he could compete with his Facebook friends and spam them with all that social game stuff, you know. We polished it for a month, and then we released it. We got around $100,000 the first week, 10,000 on iOS and 90,000 on Android. We did a simultaneous release. And it didn't monetize too well. I think we made around 500 euros of all those users, so not much. We should have put ads in earlier. We made a few patches to the game. We actually got the retention of the game and the monetization of the game to an acceptable level, actually a pretty good level. But we had already lost all our early users, and we didn't have any means of gaining visibility because we couldn't cross-promote with our previous games because we didn't have any, and we didn't actually have any money to buy users. And we didn't get we didn't get people recommending the game to their friends because it wasn't just cool or unique enough. This is just an assumption, but I don't think it's that cool. We did get some publicity in Kajaani area with the World Championships of Beaver Carts, but that didn't really matter. After that, we lost our second artist who was in our company due to contract disputes. So we were again in the situation where we had no artist. We couldn't continue on Beaver Carts or any more art-heavy project. And we actually didn't know what we were going to do next. This was 2 months ago. So we thought that, hey, let's make some subcontracting. We have some cool stuff coming out soon. We can talk about it. And then we thought that, hey, me and Ville, we could do this small shooter thing we had been thinking of for a while, just to get it out there and try it out on Assembly. And it's actually playable in the Assembly game dev compo. Give it a try, give us feedback. Yes, we know the server is broken. Future plans for Rusto, we are actually going to be subcontracting for the next 6 months to get some money. I like to eat something more expensive once in a change. Get a car, a new apartment. Beer, yes, beer, definitely beer. And possibly, if we get good feedback on Reclone, we might even kickstart it. I think it's actually a fun game. But that's where we are now. And now I think it's time for questions. You can email me any questions, or you can Twitter me or go to our website. There's also a development blog on Reclone. And I think it's time for questions, if there are any.
Yeah, so do you have any questions?
Okay, wait for the mic.
On the former presentation, you didn't say much about the Unity platform. What is your stance on these game engines nowadays used to create games?
Yeah,
Would you recommend using Unity or?
Yeah, so we are using Unity. We are mostly happy of it. Of course, there's many pitfalls. Can hear coders saying lots of bad words during the day. But for our needs, it's good just because of the portability. So it's so easy to port the games to working on different platforms. So I can recommend Unity. And it's not expensive also.
All right, that's.
What about Sako? You can also tell your.
Yeah, we are also using Unity on all the projects you have seen, so I actually love it, but when we got it the first time, a lot of the coders were using beautiful words like vittu perkele saatana when starting to use it. But these days I think they like it, but I think Ville can answer that better if you go to talk to him later. He has the handsome shirt.
That guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Oh, there's going.
Yeah, you mentioned that you're both using Unity. I mean, so my question is that did you at some point look into using other engines? I think, and from what I understand, the Unreal Engine has actually also been branching into multi-platform and mobile development in the last few years. So, have you looked into that, or did you just simply, well, Unity is what everyone uses, so let's use that, or?
So actually, during that time, Unreal was not so good for mobile, and the most important reason was that the guy I started with was used to use Unity. So it was so easy to continue using Unity. So that's the biggest reason. What tool the employees are used to use is the best choice always, that you don't need to start to learn if the tool is good. So we have heard lots of good about Unity about 2 years ago, and cool games have done already with it, so it was a clear choice for us. And I think
we had some previous experience with Unity, but we actually looked at UDK, but we didn't want to go with it because it had some quirky licensing things, and it didn't have that many platforms back then. I think they still have Android support, but back then they at least didn't have that. So I think that we went with Unity because we were familiar with the environment. Mostly that.
Okay, so it's basically just familiarity and support of platforms.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You have told a lot about your problems and mistakes, but have there been any successes? Have you done anything right? And if so, what have been your best ideas or best decisions?
So from my point of view, so if I can tell more about the background founding the company, I was thinking a lot. Should I or should I not? So I was thinking this is the last chance. I will establish a game company. That has been a dream many years for me. And I was thinking that if I don't try, I will regret it rest of my life. So I want to try. Even if I fail, I will be happy because I even tried. But what we have done good is that we can say that we have 200,000 daily players. We have done something right. Players love our game. So problem is not the game itself. Problem is the business side. So skills in the monetizing the game. So we didn't see clear enough that what we should do there. So now we are moving on the right track and getting. Let's see how the China contract will go. So if we get, as they promised, that 10 million players there, so incomes can be used. But the future will show. And of course we make the game better and better and get more publicity. And we want to be the first and the best first-person shooter game on mobile. So that when people talk about first-person shooter on mobile, they think about our game. So that's our goal and dream. So something like Counter-Strike was on PC, that our game will be on mobile the same. And what we have done, anything other right. Yeah, so let's say that we have chosen the right game. The game has been successful, but still lack of business skills. That's the biggest mistake.
Well, we are still here, and we have had a lot of fun making, I think, still great games. Not great enough, but I still think that every game we have made is a good game in its own right. But the goal when we started Rusto was to make our own games and stay alive somehow when doing that. And I think we have achieved that until now, but we still need something more stable to stand on.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I'm interested about, like, you have like 200,000, 300,000 players. So the ratio of bandwidth costs to development costs. So there's all kinds of figures in the internet, and what people are saying, like what do you have to pay for providing like high speed bandwidth to your players, and when that grows. So you have some kind of figure in mind that's reasonable, like, okay, my game's going to get 200,000 people playing. What's the going rate for that kind of service?
Yeah, so server costs are about $1,000 to $1,200 per month. So it's not so bad. So the most cost Photon network server. So we are using Photon Cloud. So it's a tech of Exit Games. It's a German company. So we still get half price from them, because we are cooperating so well with them. So our game is third most played game on Congregate. So web version is on Facebook, and Congregate is about 100,000, and mobile plays about 100,000 per day. But they are using the same network server. And Exit Games has servers in USA, Europe, and in Asia, Japan, and Singapore at the moment. But that's the cost. So other costs, of course, salaries are the biggest one. So we need about 12,000 to 15,000 euros per month. So it's not very big still, but it's money. So I have to put still a little bit own money to run the company. So I don't pay salary for myself, for example, at all. And we have many volunteers. As I told, the guy in Ukraine and Russia, they are working for free. So they have daily jobs, but in the evenings they work for us, and I send sometimes some money. And as I told, I send T-shirts for good guys who were helping us. For example, I sent one T-shirt to Brazil. There was a 16-year-old boy who made some maps and helped us a lot. And it took 2 months until the T-shirt went to Brazil. I was thinking already that the T-shirt was lost, somebody stole it. And one day there came a Skype message that, hey, I got now the package. I'm so happy. But my mom is more happier than I am, because this is the first package ever for the whole family from abroad. So they're so happy getting some small stuff. And if you keep them happy, they work for you. Other questions? Still a couple of minutes time.
Yeah, I hope you don't mind me hogging the mic again, but basically my question is to Veli-Pekka. You mentioned that you had some issues with the outsourcing of the art. Basically, could you get into any kind of sort of more specific, start being any more specific about was it like the worst case scenario was basically they take your money and then they basically go completely off the radar, or was it just low quality art that they delivered, or was it just simply that it didn't sort of fall in within the specs that you wanted, or?
Yeah, so the problem was that, so as I told in the beginning, that we have artists from Thailand, and she said that she knew a couple of friends there who can make art very cheap. So said that about 300, 400 euros per month they can work, but the quality was pretty bad. So they work, and the timetables, they didn't get the models, we didn't get the animations fast enough. We were waiting, and when we get them, the quality is so poor that we couldn't accept them. So we didn't pay them anything, but we lost so much time. So we have to start then gave the outsourcing to Finnish studios. So we get a little bit more better quality. Of course, the Finnish outsourcing was also students' companies in Outokumpu, and we get better quality and in time, but still not good enough. So practically we are now making the third round, making the assets again. So be careful when you choose outsourcing. You cannot get good quality with cheap price. So you have to see. So actually that's not totally true. So we have an outsourcing company in Philippines. So they make our gun textures, $50 per gun. And very happy, very cheap. One Chinese company asked from same texture $400. So 8 times cheaper in Philippines than in China. And also one Russian guy in Irkutsk, somewhere in Siberia, make our concept art with $300 per picture. So that is good quality and cheap. But you have to have lucky when you find the right partners.
Thank you.
1 minute. Okay, one question. Okay. So, no questions.
So, yeah, thank you for listening, and if you have any questions, please do come and talk to us.
Yes, thank you for listening, and if you have any other questions, we can talk privately here after the presentation. Thank you.